In the heart of Manhattan, where skyscrapers pierced the clouds and ambition pulsed through every street, Ethan Caldwell strode into the sleek headquarters of Caldwell Enterprises. At 35, he was a titan of industry, his name synonymous with ruthless efficiency and unrelenting success. His tailored suit, sharp as a blade, mirrored his demeanor, cold, calculated, and unyielding. Today, he was on a mission. The board had demanded cuts, and Ethan, never one to shy away from tough calls, had singled out an underperforming department. One name stood out on the termination list: Mia Harper, a mid-level marketing analyst whose recent work had been, in his eyes, lackluster at best. Mia's cubicle was tucked in a quiet corner of the 42nd floor, surrounded by the hum of keyboards and the faint aroma of coffee. She was 28, with warm brown eyes that held a quiet resilience and a cascade of dark hair she often tied back in a practical bun. Her desk was cluttered with sticky notes and a small potted plant, a touch of life in the sterile office. She'd been with the company for 3 years, her creativity once earning her praise, but lately her spark seemed dimmed. Ethan didn't care for excuses. Performance was king, and Mia was falling short. He approached her desk, his presence commanding silence from nearby coworkers. "Miss Harper," he said, his voice like polished steel. "We need to talk, my office." "No." Mia looked up, startled, her heart sinking. She'd sensed the layoffs looming, but hearing her name in that tone felt like a punch. She nodded, grabbing her notepad as if it could shield her, and followed him to the glass-walled office that overlooked the city like a throne. Room dawn inside. Ethan didn't sit. He stood by the window, his back to her, the skyline framing his silhouette. "Your performance metrics are down 15% this quarter," he said without preamble. "The company is streamlining. Your position is no longer viable. You're being let go, effective immediately." The words hit Mia like a tidal wave. She clutched the notepad, her knuckles whitening. I've been dealing with some personal challenges. I can improve, I promise. Give me a chance." Ethan turned, his piercing blue eyes locking onto hers. "Personal challenges don't justify results, Ms. Harper. This isn't a charity." Tightened. She wanted to scream, to tell him how unfair this was, but the truth she'd buried deep choked her words. 6 months ago, at the company's annual gala, a night of champagne and rare vulnerability, she and Ethan had shared a fleeting, reckless moment. A one-night stand. A mistake she'd regretted the moment she woke up in his penthouse. He'd been distant the next day, professional as ever, and she'd vowed to keep it buried. But now, that night had consequences she couldn't ignore. She was pregnant for months along, and she'd hidden it, wearing loose blouses, avoiding scrutiny. Terrified of what it would mean for her career, her life, and the child she already loved, she stood, trembling, searching for words. "Mr. Caldwell, there's something you need to know." Before she could finish, the door swung open. Sarah, the HR manager, burst in, her face pale. "They're calling it a PR disaster, stocks already dipping." Ethan's jaw tightened. "Handle it, Sarah. I'm in the middle of something." But Mia saw her chance slipping. She took a shaky breath. "It's about me. About us." Ethan froze, his eyes narrowing. "Us? What are you talking about?" Mia's voice wavered, but she pressed on. "That night, at the gala, I didn't plan to tell you like this, but I'm pregnant. And it's yours." The room seemed to shrink, the air heavy with silence. Ethan's face was unreadable, a storm brewing behind his eyes. Sarah, sensing the tension, quietly excused herself, closing the door. Ethan took a step closer, his voice low. "You're saying this now? When you're about to be fired? Convenient." Mia flinched, but her resolve hardened. "I didn't want you to know. I thought I could handle it alone, but I can't lose this job, not now. I need it for my baby, our baby." Ethan ran a hand through his dark hair, his composure cracking. "Why didn't you tell me sooner? You've been hiding this for months." "I was scared," she admitted, tears brimming. "You're Ethan Caldwell. You don't do complications. I thought you'd dismiss me, or worse, not care. He stared at her, the weight of her words sinking in. Ethan had built his empire on control, on cutting out anything that didn't serve his goals. But this was a variable he hadn't calculated. A child. His child. He turned back to the window, grappling with emotions he'd long suppressed. Guilt, fear, and something softer, something he hadn't felt in years. Mia took his silence as rejection. "I don't expect anything from you," she said, her voice steadying. "I just needed you to know. I'll go. I'll figure it out." As she turned to leave, Ethan's voice stopped her. "Wait." He faced her, his expression softer, almost human. Over the next hour, in that glass office, the walls between them began to crumble. Mia spoke of her fear, her determination to give her child a good life, even if it meant sacrificing her dreams. Ethan listened, really listened, for the first time in years. He saw her not as a line item on a spreadsheet, but as a person brave, selfless, and fiercely protective. And he saw himself, the man he'd become, cold, detached, blind to the humanity around him. "I've been wrong," he said finally, his voice raw. "About you, about a lot of things. I'm not firing you, Mia, and I'm not walking away from." The days that followed, were a whirlwind. Ethan canceled the layoffs, facing the board's wrath but standing firm. He met with Mia privately, not as a CEO, but as a man confronting his past and his future. They talked about the baby, about what it meant, about the kind of parents they wanted to be. It wasn't easy-a-thons. Arrogance didn't vanish overnight, and Mia's trust was hard-won, but they found common ground in their shared commitment to their child. One evening, in a small diner far from the corporate world, Ethan saw Mia laugh for the first time, her face glowing as she talked about her hopes for their daughter. He realized he was falling for her not just as the mother of his child, but as the woman who'd challenged him to be better. He reached for her hand, and she didn't pull away. Months later, as Mia cradled their newborn daughter, Lily, in a quiet hospital room, Ethan stood beside her, no longer the untouchable CEO, but a father. A partner, a man learning to lead with kindness. The world outside still spun with ambition and chaos, but in that moment, they were just a family. Bound by love and the power of second chances, Caldwell Enterprises thrived. Not because of ruthless cuts, but because Ethan began to value people over profit. Mia returned to work, her creativity reignited, her ideas shaping the company's future. And in the heart of Manhattan, where dreams clashed with reality, their story became a quiet legend, reminder that even the hardest hearts could soften, and that humanity, in all its messy beauty, could change everything.